The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is less than 2 months away. I feel like no matter how many times I say that, it's not gonna feel real. This game was announced almost 4 years ago, and now we're nearing the conclusion to this journey. The hype train is reaching the end of the track. But despite the approaching release, despite over half a decade of waiting being rewarded, I don't think I feel like I should. I mean, this is a new 3D Zelda, one of the biggest game-related events you could ask for. And on top of that, this is the sequel to Breath of the Wild, the most influential, highly praised game of the last decade, and on a more personal level, one of my top 5 favorite games of all time. I feel like I should be screaming from the rooftops, telling passers-by to run home to their families and let them know that Tears of the Kingdom is on its way. But as it stands, sure, I'm excited for the game, but that's all I can say. Tears of the Kingdom is being handled quite differently from your average Nintendo title. Mystery is the name of the game. Across the 4 trailers that have been released over the past 4 years, we've gotten small glimpses of the game's new offerings, each trailer typically showing a little more than the last, but nothing major. And while many expected things to change as we approached the game's release, the trailer we received in the February Direct, while satisfying, felt like a lot more of the same. Some cool new features and short bursts of story, but accompanied with the knowledge that the real meat of the game is being hidden from us. The point of this video is not for me to say that Tears of the Kingdom looks like an awful game. It doesn't. And despite what you might have thought when you clicked on the video, the point isn't for me to say that the game is being poorly marketed either, at least from a business perspective. The moment Nintendo announced that this game was the sequel to Breath of the Wild in June 2019, they already sold 20 million units. That's really all they needed in terms of selling the game. What I wanted to talk about, more than anything, is whether Tears of the Kingdom's Secrecy is the right move. Now, what do I mean by that? I just said the game's gonna sell incredibly well regardless of how much they show. But when I say right, I more so mean fair, just. Is Nintendo keeping the game a mystery the right move? Recently, debates on the matter have been more prevalent than ever. Some argue that because the game is right around the corner, detailing all of its secrets and new features would simply take away from the gameplay experience. Others say that Nintendo hasn't shown enough of the game for it to be enticing. And while I'm not on the extreme side of either group, as you can probably tell, I definitely lean closer to the latter. Tears of the Kingdom will be an excellent game, let's get that out of the way. Despite differing takes on how marketing is being handled, I don't think anyone doubts that Nintendo has put an incredible amount of work into this title, and it's sure to satisfy millions. My issue is that simply hasn't been communicated to us. With each and every trailer Tears of the Kingdom has received, I've been waiting for the one big feature that literally and figuratively changes the game. Something that makes me go, oh, that's what happened in those 6 years, the moment I lay my eyes on it. And I'm still waiting. Sky Islands, vehicles, new bosses, that's all great, but none of it explains what they were cooking. And yes, I'm factoring in COVID. Even though we know Nintendo began working on titles remotely during the period, so this isn't entirely accurate, let's remove an entire calendar year. 2020, just gone. No more work being done on the game for 365 days. That still puts the gap between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom only a few weeks off from the gap between Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild. Again, the asset reusing sequel, utilizing the same world map as the previous game, has almost taken the same amount of development time as the original built from the ground up, with an entire year removed. But even with all of that in mind, I could kinda get behind what they were going for. Devotion to secrecy in such an expansive title could almost be seen as admirable. Trying to do your best to preserve a player's gaming experience isn't all that bad, as long as there are no more left field aspects of the game to worry about. $70. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is Nintendo's first title to cost $70. That's $90 for you fellow Canadians. And you know what? Fine. Video games are art, and if the experience I'm paying for truly exceeds $60, okay. But show us! This is where I became extra critical of Tears of the Kingdom's marketing. If you are going to announce that your new game is going to cost more than any of your previous ones because it's just so spectacular and remarkable, then show us what makes it that way. Word of mouth from the people who want our money isn't enough to justify it. You have to tell us why. And no, that isn't entitled, that isn't unreasonable. Nintendo is a company and we're the consumers. These games are art, but they're also products. If a product takes way longer than all others to release and drops with a decent price increase, the company should be able to show the consumer which aspects of the product justify your extra dollars. But Nintendo hasn't done that. We've yet to truly discover what makes Tears of the Kingdom Tears of the Kingdom. The hype so far is almost entirely derived from good faith and the fact that it's the sequel to Breath of the Wild. It's like buying extra expensive tickets for your favorite sports team, except you don't get to know who they're playing against until you get there, and also your sports team hasn't played for 6 years. Sure, you love watching your guys, and you'll find out eventually, but shouldn't you be privy to the most basic and crucial information that will inform your experience? At the end of the day, Tears of the Kingdom is going to sell like crazy, and what we'll end up with will likely be some of Nintendo's best work. I just think that the way the game has been promoted has turned what could have been an extremely satisfying and enjoyable pre-release experience into one filled with uncertainty and aggravation. Of course, things can still change. A Tears of the Kingdom Direct isn't confirmed, but doesn't seem impossible considering what Nintendo's done with their other major titles, and most everyone seems to agree that we'll be getting another trailer at the very least. This video was made to give reason to the claims that Tears of the Kingdom hasn't shown enough. A lot of people are completely satisfied with the current information, and that's totally fine. I do raise an eyebrow, however, when the same people ask questions like, why would you even want to know more? It makes me feel like they've been witnessing a different marketing campaign than I have. No one wants major spoilers, guys. No one wants their experience with the game to be tainted. From what I've seen, everyone agrees that a trailer equivalent to Breath of the Wild's Switch presentation trailer would be all we need. A mechanic-rich, emotional, and satisfying showing of what this game brings to the table. Justification for our money and time, that's it. But as always, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Has Tears of the Kingdom shown plenty of content so far, or do you still feel like it hasn't justified the circumstances of its release? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you later.